If you're in payroll, benefits, or compliance, you know how quickly those headaches can pile up. But with Deal, it doesn't have to be that way. Deal PEO makes hiring in the U.S. simple.
And right now, you can get up to 3 months free. Just head over to deal.com/workdefined. That's DEEL.com/WRK defined. Welcome back, folks. It's another episode of It's About Payroll. We got an amazing guest on today. But before we get to him, how you doing, Walt?
Man, I am doing good, Brian. Happy for another day. It's Halloween. So, it's a little spooky for some people because today's payday.
On Halloween, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, bro.
Exactly.
Everything's good with me, man. How about you?
Everything's amazing, man. I'm living the dream, bro.
Good, good.
Aaron, we're gonna get into some news, man. You can welcome to chime in on the news stuff we have. Walt, what you got for us today?
Yeah, so I have a really great article that's out there. It will be in the show notes. It's by Bisky.ai, and it's a blog about the future of global payroll trends to watch in 2026.
Ooh.
So I'm not going to go deep into everything, but there's some interesting stuff here. They talk about advancements in HR technology and automation, which we know is kind of,
all the buzz.
Yeah, all the buzz. It talks about the rise of EOR, employer of record,
Yes.
innovation and its impacts on payroll, fintech payroll solutions, and cross-border payments. It talks about regulatory and compliance innovations and global payroll, how they manage global compliance and digital regulations, data security, and privacy considerations. Because as we did that one episode way back, Brian, about cybersecurity and how with systems becoming so advanced that hackers are advancing right along with them.
Oh yeah.
Right. I think there was even one stat that we said that they use software as a service in the hacking world. Right.
Yep.
So for their industry as well. So it talks about all those different things. It talks about strategic implications of HR and for HR and business leaders, adapting the workforce strategies for a globalized environment, enhancing your employee experience. So this talks about those different things and everything. So I'll include it in the show notes.
Love it. Love it. Mine is a very popular ongoing topic. It's OBBB, but now they're coining it OB3. And it basically zeroes in with this one caught my eye because it's zeroing in on how overtime is being impacted. And I've been doing a series of webinars to help payroll folk understand what this impact is going to be about. So look out for those. There are more to come. I think I'm doing one in December. And then we're doing another in December, another 5-day course on OBB to cover more things. But, same thing. This will be in the show notes as well. But the key thing for payrollers is to understand that the FLSA defines overtime differently or calculates it differently than we are used to calculating it. So that's the major call out for payrollers. And just another couple of points is to make sure that your vendors are capturing it for 2025 because your folks are allowed to write off or get that tax-free deduction or however you want to phrase it there, that benefit, but it has to be captured. If it's not on your W-2, then there's no way to get the credit. And then what's some other good call out here? Basically, run your audits, make sure you're good, and get educated about it. Again, stay in touch with us. We're doing a bunch of education on it coming up in December, and the link will be in the show notes. But without further ado, our guest today is Aron Alexander, founder and CEO of Runa, where he's an innovator who's reimagining how money moves across the world. Aron's journey started in the most relatable way, helping out his family's retail business and noticing that pain points came with giving and receiving value. That curiosity led him to build what has become one of the most forward-thinking payment infrastructures on the planet. Under his leadership, Runa, formerly known as WeGift, has grown into a global platform. I'm used to saying payroll all the time. A global platform that enables companies to send, spend, and store value instantly anywhere. They're not just modernizing rewards and incentives, they're reshaping the entire landscape of digital payouts for payroll, HR, and fintech ecosystems alike. From scaling startups to navigating rebrands to driving global fintech innovation, he brings a mix of vision, resilience, practicality that our listeners are going to love. So grab your coffee and get inspired and join us as we dive in with someone who is into the mind of a true builder who's helping redefine how the world gets paid. Aron Alexander from Runa. How do you do, sir?
Thank you very much for having me.
I love it. So, Walt, you want to get us started?
Yeah. So tell us about your background and how you got to where you are now.
Yeah, so I appreciate you guys having me on. I'll keep it short because it's quite eclectic, but I grew up in a family that owned small and independent retail stores like grocery, clothing, bakery, and such. So I kind of was close to the metal, so to speak, when it came to consumer payments and consumption. Kind of growing up in that environment, like if I fast forward, I started my first business at 17 and second at 24, kind of outside of retail, but I kind of got a lot of experiences around just how payments were working. And one day I actually received a refund in the mail in the form of like a £5, like $5 paper voucher. And I thought this is a really interesting way of moving money to someone. Why would you bother to pick, pack, and ship something that's such low value? And it opened my eyes up to this whole world where you can move money outside of traditional banking and card networks with no bank account required. The economics are really different. You can drive more like engagement and loyalty. And so when you kind of apply that to payments, well, that actually is a really interesting intersection here between moving money around outside the banking rails and creating a different consumer or recipient experience, which I think is like one of the next opportunities for payroll. Is around not just how money moves and how timely it is and all the I guess, regulatory and compliance issues, but also what does that end user experience look like and how do you add more value to it? So having worked in payments and seeing how difficult the card and bank networks work, and having seen that actually, if you can integrate directly with a merchant, you can just exchange value between two parties without having any of those intermediaries and create a lot more, product experience, user experience, and capabilities that add more value to the user and the sender. So that's how Runa was born. We've integrated into about 5,000 merchants now, all the big box retailers like Home Depot, Starbucks, Amazon. You can send money on Runa instantly and then spend that with any of those 5,000 merchants or our network directly with them. And you can also move money onto a prepaid card or into a bank account. And it's all on a kind of really cool user experience that you can control and fit all kind of other messages and services to build that relationship with the people that you serve.
Awesome.
Amazing. So you gave us a little bit about Runa, but you mentioned that it was much more. Can you tell us what Runa is in its entirety?
Yes, we built our own payments network and infrastructure to move money around, wholly independently of banks and card networks. So you can load money onto Runa and you can send money to anyone, anywhere instantly, any currency. And we have over 50 on the platform that regularly used.
Wow.
And then you can spend that money immediately online and in store at any participating Runa merchant. In addition to that, you don't have to spend it with a merchant. You can push that money onto a prepaid card. You can push that money into your bank account. It's basically a new way to send and spend digital value. And we're just continuing to add more and more options for the end user so that you as a sender, the entire experience is simplified. It's an API. You can send us a request and then we push that value to the user. They get a wallet that they receive the money in. It's all virtual and they can spend that money, as I said, immediately on any of our rails. So people use us a lot for incentives and rewards, points cash out, but also money movement transfer. If they need to pay gig economy workers or payroll and such, you can just plug us in and send us a request and the money will move immediately.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Commercial Insurance. Business owners, meet Progressive Insurance. They make it easy to get discounts on commercial auto insurance and find coverages to grow with your business. Quote in as little as 8 minutes at progressivecommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company. Coverage provided and serviced by affiliated and third-party insurers. Discounts and coverage selections not available in all states or situations.
Awesome.
Amazing. I got a quick follow-up before you ask the next one, Walt.
Okay.
Is crypto included, and is there an app in the Apple Store?
So this is B to B to C. So we kind of are not so we are for businesses, particularly like software platforms, building like payroll experiences or
I love that.
experiences, and we're like a Stripe for business to consumer payments.
I
It's
love
great.
that. Okay,
That's
I
how-
get that. We use Stripe actually, so and we're going to circle back offline. We may want to talk about using you as well. That would be amazing.
Yeah, love to help.
Yeah. Okay.
Awesome.
Cool. Sorry about that, Will.
Oh, you're good. You're good. That was a great question. As far as independent workers are concerned, do they have different payment preferences that are starting to affect the work that they did?
Yeah. So I think one of the key kind of elements for independent workers is speed of payment, first of all. So we did a large study earlier this year that found, I think 72% of independent workers will consider reducing hours or even moving off a platform if the speed of payment doesn't meet their expectation. The other thing is, I think we're in quite a transformative moment when it comes to, the globalization of the workforce and what we would call like the local language of money. So different workers in different geographies will have different needs. And to your question, or like preferences changing, $100 in the US it has a different kind of value to it to $100 in Argentina or in Nigeria. Maybe in Argentina, you want it in a stable coin, to your question earlier. And maybe in Nigeria, you need it in airtime credit because that's the local language of money. Those formats, those form factors are much more useful there. And so our job at Runa is to make all that transfer of value across these different rails instant and seamless and easy for everyone so that you can create a better experience for the people that you're sending money to. But yeah, we're definitely seeing like the rise of like variation of payout types and formats that recipients want to have access to.
Wow.
Wow. You mentioned something for Nigeria. What was that again?
Just saying that in different markets, the kind of form factor that money takes is different. So in Africa in general, like there's a lot of airtime credit being used as a form of.
Airtime credit? What is that?
So with the old school popping up your mobile phone with minute,
Yeah.
that's how a lot of the transactions are kind of facilitated in Africa. There's mobile wallets like M-Pesa, the airtime credit, I guess, money movement use cases.
Wow.
So, trying to get US dollars, I guess, off ramp into a local bank, like take Mexico, you might be waiting 4 hours to go get the cash out of the bank. Whereas, give someone a gift card to a local supermarket in Mexico, they can just go in and spend straight away. So gift cards are more useful in that market than say cash is for some reason. Just because the bank.
Wow.
So the different markets have different limitations and therefore they kind of behave in different ways. So you're kind of looking to serve those as independent workers, as you were saying, in the way that suits them. And it might be a multitude of things, not just one thing. You might want to stick your money partly to a bank, partly to a fuel card, partly to a prepaid card, partly into stablecoin, depending where you are and what your needs are. We're definitely seeing that as the next opportunity when it comes to making payouts.
You segued right into the next question wonderfully. What are the trends that you're seeing with payment preferences from businesses, or did you just cover them, or were any missed there?
Yeah, I think when it comes to payroll in particular, I was thinking about this and this call. We're in quite an experimental phase when it comes just to the whole like SaaS stack in enterprise.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned AI earlier. I do agree with you, by the way, that the next big problem to solve will be the data. If you're some point an AI agent somewhere is going to make a big mistake and then we're going to worry about like
Yep.
into the information around it. But there's a lot of experimentation there and therefore opportunity to kind of offer new products and services when it comes to the payment experience too. And so I think what we're seeing is an opportunity not just to transfer the value from the business to the recipient, the contractor, the employee, but how do you create an experience around that with other value-added products and services? So, we have a wallet capability. In that wallet, we can insert offers. And there's the opportunity, although we haven't executed on it yet, to add like other promotions or other value-added services to employees. You can imagine them getting access to benefit like insurance or to transferring money from the Runa wallet they receive to someone else immediately if they're sending money home, for example, if they're working foreign laborer. So there's a lot more opportunity than just sending money to someone's bank account when it comes to the payment experience that companies can leverage and basically build strong relationships with the people they serve.
That's awesome.
Wow.
That's awesome. Is there any kind of advice you would give anyone who gets paid on an independent basis about the kind of payment experience that they should seek?
I think this is part of the challenge. There's not much choice when it comes to the recipient on how they get paid. it's typically determined by the employer or the platform that they happen to be on. And so like one of the challenges is like building infrastructure is really hard, and providing, the orchestration and capability to move money with the flexibility that we're talking about is not really available in the mainstream market, which is why I think Runa has a really interesting right to win and an important part to play in helping move the industry forward. Because you're stuck. If you're in a contractor working for a gig economy platform, they will decide how to pay you, and then you just have to kind of accept it. And there's an opportunity for those platforms to compete by providing more flexibility of payout options. And there's an opportunity for the employer to get more productivity and more loyalty, I guess more engagement from their employees or their contractors if they can provide them with a better experience, because ultimately people want to get paid or quote unquote rewarded for the work that they're doing. And if you can improve the quality of that reward, I think everyone wins.
Let's switch gears a little bit here. When you're scaling a startup, it's never easy.
Sure.
But what was were there any kind of near-death moments for Runa? And if so, how'd you get through them? What could we learn? What'd you learn from that?
Yeah, I think definitely some hairy moments there for me, like multiple times over the years, like early on trying to get funding in a market where, the UK at least was less fintech oriented than it is today. I think trying to build a three-sided business where we have merchants and customers and integrations to all manage is like a difficult slog. I think just for anyone, the things that to kind of take into consideration are you have to really be clear about why you're doing this, because it's going to get really difficult and you need something to hold on to when those moments come. Something to remind yourself, like, why am I going through all this pain? And for some people, it's a mission. For other people, it's the building experience. For other people, it's personal. I think finding your why is really important. Surrounding yourself with really good people, because, you want to go fast, you can go alone. You want to go far, you got to go together. And you're going to have moments where you don't have a solution or you just need the moral support. So trying to build a network around yourself, I think is pretty critical for those times. And then like fundamentally solving problems. If you are focused on solving people's problems and really listening to your customers in the market, things tend to work out. I think it's when you kind of lose focus or you think you can't dictate the market what the market needs. You kind of have to listen to what it needs and then try and solve it in the most novel way you can. So those would be the three kind of pillars that I would try and build the resilience on is your purpose, your people, and your product.
Hey, this is William Tincup, and I'd like to talk to you a little bit about Practitioner Corner podcast. It's a wonderful podcast about the journey, the paths of how practitioners, both HR and TA, kind of go from high school, college, all the way to where they are right now. Some of the things that they've learned, how they've been successful, people that thrive around them, etc. It's a fun podcast. You'll love it. You'll learn from it. Subscribe to it. Thanks.
Love it. Thank you.
Awesome. Can you speak to what prompted the name change from WeGift to Runa?
Yeah.
Maybe what drove the rebranding, how it impacted your business and your team?
Yeah, totally. Thank you for the opportunity, actually, because I wanted to pick up on that. The original insight was, again, like, how can you transfer money outside the card and banking networks in a way that's instant, countless, low cost, high data? And you think about what money really is. It's the exchange of value, because there's an agreement between two parties that value will equal some kind of product or service. So that agreement is really important. And if you can create an agreement with a merchant directly, you don't need the card and banking networks. Unfortunately, trying to start a new payment network from day one is pretty impossible. So we needed a way to work with merchants that allowed us to transfer value to an individual, and for that individual to be able to spend it and have that value accepted at that merchant. So gift cards were quite a novel way of doing that, because it was a real pain in the market. It was antiquated. There was no infrastructure actually in the industry at all. It was all run in spreadsheets and emails. So that was an interesting wedge for us. And obviously with customers buying gift cards and me having very little branding experience at the time, it felt like an SEO friendly, easy to understand name, WeGift. We're giving you the ability to send gift cards as a payment method. One of my big learnings is there's a lot in a name. And in terms of what the rebrand enabled us to do, is every time we would tell our kind of story and our vision of why we exist to help transfer value to be instant and seamless and more economic and more rewarding, people get stuck on the gift card part. When we were able to explain that really all value is just a symbolic representation of an agreement. And, you can send any type of value to anyone, anywhere. It's all different symbols really that are just being moved around. And trying to encapsulate that idea in the name WeGift doesn't work, but in Runa it does, because if you think about runes are symbols and they're mysterious a little bit. I give you dollars and you give me crypto, and I give you pounds and you give me gift cards, and I give you euros and you give me stables. All that value should be seamless. It's all on the internet anyway. It's all zeros and ones. And so, a lot of what building a company is really good storytelling. And so we had to kind of up our game on that. It's been transformative. It's allowed us to hire in a way that we couldn't before. It's allowed us to have conversations and opportunities with customers that we couldn't before. It's just been going back to that purpose. It allowed us to clarify the purpose a lot more clearly. And that's been a massive driver of our acceleration of growth.
Awesome.
Amazing. I love it. You made me think of, it was a while ago, we were when crypto became the in the beginnings, and we were doing this show. I had asked a lawyer friend of mine, I said, can you pay people with crypto? Is that legal? And he's like, Brian, you could pay people with oranges if they accept
They
it.
agree to it. Yeah.
If they agree to it. And so when you said the agreement part, I was like, wait a minute. Oh my gosh. And I really love how, you're really innovating and paying attention, and the pivot. I love it. And you're building something global, high speed, embedded, flexible. How do you handle and think about the regulation, cross-border, operating in multiple jurisdictions? How do you handle all that?
Yeah, it's complicated, and that's kind of our job to make that really simple for the user. And I think in terms of how we actually went about and executed on that, a lot of it comes by being thoughtful about the design of the business upfront. I think a lot of times you can run into trouble when you try to retrofit some new complexity into something that wasn't designed for that purpose. So we always had the global view very early on. We had multi-currency and multi-language pretty much in the first year. And then jurisdiction wise, one of the other important parts of the gift card choice was that it's regulated, but very lightly and in a way that is very easy to scale internationally. When it comes to other products, you then have to either work with partners or get your own licenses, which Runa is actually in the process of doing in some markets, to be able to participate in the right way. And so you have to construct this quite complicated, rails and ecosystem or payment methods, and get regulatory wrappers or either partners or working locally. Having local entities is another big building block of that. So we have in Germany and India and US and UK different entities to help us operate in those markets. So it's a lot of building, a lot of brute force. Once you have it designed right and you have the blueprint, putting the bricks together is just about sticking with it and doing that methodically and, iterating and learning as you go. But we've managed to build a really interesting network where you can fund and originate money. And I think it's about 32 currencies with Runa. And then you can push that money out into another 50 across 180 markets. Depending on the product type, right? Not all products are in every market, but not every payment option is in every market with us. But we have a really extensive range, and it's a completely novel and new way of moving money around. You just virtually deposit money in one account, press a button, and it instantly appears in the email inbox or in-app or SMS of millions of people in real time, and they can immediately spend it with any partner on our network.
Wow. That's amazing.
Incredible.
I think you've spoken about staying focused on your long-term vision. Have you turned down any acquisition offers in order to build something bigger? And at what point did you recognize that you were playing the long game?
Yeah, I think going back to that purpose thing, for me, it was very clear to me early on that I wanted to create the biggest impact I could. And I would define that by how far can I take this? And I might max out at some point and be like, this is too big for me, or I haven't got the experience, or I haven't got the talent to do this. But that drive meant that, we did have offers along the way at various stages, most of them early on when people could see actually we were going to transform a large part of the gift card market first and then payouts later. But I still think we have a lot of headroom to grow. I still think there's a lot of impact that we can continue to have. And I'm very driven to make that happen. So it's kind of like the optionality is, okay, if I can solve problems, the money will follow. So shouldn't be worried about that. I should be worried about trying to solve the biggest problems I can, as much as I can, and see how far I can go with that. And I'm sure I'll hit my limit at some point, but it's just meant that when the office came in, they were kind of optimizing for a different problem, which is obviously the money and the exit side. And I wanted to optimize for the scale and impact that we could create. And so I'm really proud that we pay out over 3.5 million people a month now, receive money on Runa. Just, what is that, 15 football stadiums or something, depending on the size of the stadium. It's quite cool, right? And you can keep scaling that up. You're like, wow, that there are literally millions of people that receive money and their day is impacted positively by what we have built. How do I get that up to 100 million people a month? How do I get it to 1 billion people a month? I can't, but let's see. So the acquisition stuff is kind of second order to the impact.
Hey, everybody, I'm Lori Rudiman. What are you doing? Working? Nah, you're listening to a podcast about work, and that barely counts. So while you're at it, check out my show, Punk Rock HR, now on the Redefining Network. We chat with smart people about work, power, politics, and money. Are we succeeding? Are we fixing work? Probably not. Work still sucks, but tune in for some fun, a little nonsense, and a fresh take on how to fix work once and for all.
Amazing. I believe you can, man. You came this far. There's no limit for you, sir. I don't think you're gonna tap out at all. And congratulations. You should be proud of yourself, and it's quite the accomplishment. And is it true that you were a paratrooper
Yes, way back
in the
when.
military? Wow.
I had a
So
journey.
how does that help you or does it at all impact how you've grown and led your company?
I think definitely like a lot of lessons there, depending on the stage of business, right? And scaling a company is quite similar in many ways to I guess, progressing in the military, or when you start a company and you start in the military, you're in a little platoon, right? And then you move up you grow the company a bit, and then you suddenly have multiple platoons. So kind of like, a military company and a business company and the kind of thing.
Right.
Or your role as a CEO has to continue to grow. So I've seen commanders of how they have to get promoted and then manage bigger and bigger organizations, and their role has to change. If you're a platoon commander, you're in the mud and someone's under fire and you're there literally helping them. When you're a company commander or a brigade commander, you have to be at the back and you're more orchestrating than, running up and down the hills. So from the company growth perspective, the military is an interesting model of thinking about how you as a leader, from a platoon commander to a company commander to brigade commander and so on, changes completely. And then you have to delegate and you have to rely on those, the commanders below you in the chain of command to take care of the problems on the ground. Your roles change too. So that's a big learning. I think just the grit, determination, camaraderie, trying to replicate that in the business is being a big focus. In the military, you have very clear values. You know why you're there. That was a lot of energy and effort put in at Runa. We've had 4 well-articulated values that have been embedded for the last 7 years and haven't changed.
Wow.
Maybe they need to at some point, but so far they've served us pretty well. And so that kind of unity of purpose is another added, similarly or parallel between the two. So lots of lessons, grit, determination, team building, camaraderie, purpose, growing your kind of command structure, if you like. They're all relevant and helpful lessons that you can take into business.
Amazing. Thank you for your service, by the way. Walt is also a veteran, and we thank you all for your service worldwide, for sure.
Yep.
Well, we want to take this last one before we get into this or that.
Yeah. So, Aron, tell us what's next for you and for Runa.
So we have a big focus now on expanding the people we serve from a vertical perspective. So we've added prepaid cards to our platform. So you can now use us to basically send your own single load or reloadable branded prepaid card. We have it in the US. The UK is about to come online in Europe. So you can basically use Runa to transfer value. And we think on the prepaid cards opens up some new use cases around marketplaces and direct sellers and payroll opportunities, especially for gig workers. So that's really the main focus. We also launched this year the ability to push money into a bank account. And so if you want to move money around on the kind of mainstream rails, that is your kind of infrastructure to make that happen. So anyone that's looking for kind of what gig worker payouts, or payroll payouts, or marketplace payouts, that's our kind of big focus going forward. Is we built the technology, and now it's time to put it into people's hands.
Amazing. Amazing. We love it. Man, congratulations, man. It's, and this is one of the reasons why I was telling Brendan, your colleague, that we don't do pre-work, right? Some folks do like a pre-screening
Right.
and I love being surprised in the moment and just natural reactions and wow, this is great. And really, I love it. I learned a lot here and thank you for joining us. Before we let you go, we like to play something fun just to get to know folks beyond the business of it all. It's called This or That. You can pick one, pick both, neither. Doesn't matter. Just get you talking. And if any spurs any stories, feel free to share. I'll start it off, Will, and you finish it up.
Okay.
First one is pizza on the go or sit down, speak easy cocktail.
Well, I'm in New Yorker now, so I guess pizza on the go has to be the
Bagel or so now oh no, this is both New York. So
okay.
a bagel with lox in Brooklyn, or I'm gonna switch it up a little bit, a pastrami sandwich at Katz downtown.
Is the pastrami sandwich at 2 a.m?
Yeah. It's gotta be. There's no other way.
And it's Katz pastrami sandwich.
Yes, I love it. All right. So let's see. Last one for me is oh my God, Miss Katz. Walk the High Line at sunset or ferry to Staten Island.
High Line. I live right by the High Line. It's beautiful.
Amazing.
It's definitely one of the hidden gems of New York for sure. So anyone hasn't been up there, if you're a New Yorker or you're coming and visit to the city, maybe not in the winter so much, but summertime it's great.
Yeah, no, not in the winter.
Okay. So bangers and mash are fish and chips.
Oh, got neither, maybe. Just
neither.
Oh, okay.
Then fish and chips if I had to choose, but
okay.
Being from the UK, that's not the first time I'm being asked that question.
Okay. All right. Arsenal or Chelsea?
Oh, neither. I'm a Spurs man, so that's not gonna work for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now we know who you like. Okay.
I know the San Antonio one, in case people are getting confused about the basketball.
And then lastly, the Beatles or One Direction?
Oh, Beatles, classic. I can't say I'm much of a boy band fan. I mean, you would have thought
so One Direction,
right? But no.
So I see you have a guitar back there. Do you play?
Yeah. I used to play a lot. I'm trying to use my time to do 20 minutes a day kind of thing. Kind of get the fingers moving again. But yeah, I used to play a lot bass and electric and different time growing up. I had a lot more free time to do that than I do now. But I put it there so I don't have an excuse to say I forgot it. If I leave it in the cupboard somewhere, like I kind of holding myself to account by having it in the background. Yeah, I can't put it there for show. I better use it.
That's right. You gotta break it up a little bit, right? I mean, work hard, play hard.
Yeah.
Yep.
Amazing, man. Again, congratulations. Wish you all the best. If there's anything you ever, you have a home here now. If you guys need to come back on, more than welcome. And how would people find Runa online?
Runa.com. You can email me at Aron@Runa.io if you want to get in touch.
And that's RUNA, right? RUNA.com?
Yeah, that's right.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Whoa, you want to leave us with a quote of the day?
Yes. If you want to build something really innovative, prepare to be misunderstood.
Oh, I like that.
I second that.
Yeah.
Yep.
I like that.
Thank you for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you for coming on. We really appreciate it. And thank you for listening, folks. Until the next time, we love you.